Hey guys, welcome again till today, Saturday. Okay, so today I am going to show you just how much of a weird Beatlemaniac I am by reading you some notes I've taken while reading books on Paul McCartney. And they're funny things too. I wouldn't write down boring things. So yeah, I'm just gonna tell you some of the things that I read that you might find interesting and may have never known before. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's see. Here's something you may have not known, and if you have, that's cool. I'm just gonna go down and list a bunch of random facts, so just pay attention. I'm gonna try to make it entertaining. I'm not gonna be like, Paul and Mike. Paul, was that his name? Was that his name? No. Paul, James, Paul. I'm not gonna make it like that. Okay, anyways, Paul and Mike, okay, so when they were little, they got put in an outhouse for stealing apples. Two naughty little boys. Naughty little boys. Okay, another thing is, they were not very obedient to their parents. No, they didn't pay attention, so you gotta pay attention to your parents, so this doesn't happen to you, okay? Yeah, that's what I thought. Whew. Anyways, what happened was, they both fell into a water-filled, like, lime? I was gonna say, they fell into a time pit. It's like, what did they go, Back to the Future? Ahead to the past? Okay, both fell into a water-filled lime pit and they couldn't get out. Oh, after being told to stay away, that's the parent thing there going on. And the construction workers, they lured them out while they were, like freaking out in there. And they were like, freaking out, and then their parents got them in trouble and they were grounded. I've never got grounded before. One time I asked my dad, hey Dad, why have you never grounded me? And he said, because you've never done anything that bad. I was like, whoa, that's scary. That's a weird thing to come across. You don't want to come across that. I could like hear the sounds of the room going da-da-da, like da-da-da, one of those scary little things. Yeah. Or they ain't, okay. I talk way too much. Okay, so another thing was, so Paul and Mike both got mugged when they were little. Aw, that's sad. Okay, another thing was, let's see. Oh, this one's a weird one. Do you want me to tell you this? You might already know this, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. Shh. Okay, so the Quarrymen, including Paul, used to have like these little get-togethers where they'd like go to John's house and they'd all like do inappropriate things to themselves while they were there, and they would fantasize about girls and things that would happen, and they'd all be in this trance, and then all of a sudden somebody would yell out, Winston Churchill! And they'd all be like, John, why did you do that? They were like dreaming about Bridget Bardot and things like that, and John was just like, Winston Churchill! And they lost their trance, and it's always fun to have a fun touching corner with yourselves in a house that belongs to John Lennon. I think that would be great. What a wonderful time that'd be, don't you agree? So most people know George was the bus driver's son. I feel like I'm dyslexic sometimes. Do you guys feel that too? I don't know. So so I don't know if you guys have this, but at my school there's this like wall and where all the smokers go to smoke. So you know who each of them are, you always think of them as like the bad kids, and then they're always there on the smoker's wall. George used to be one of those guys on the smoker wall, guys. He was a smoker wall dude, except they called it the smoking corner. So, gotta be careful for them George Harrisons out there. You never know when they're gonna come and get you. Okay, so you know how Paul was like such a nerd? I'm just kidding, I love Paul. So, when he was not totally a badass yet, like he wasn't like up at John's level, because he eventually did with smoking pot and things like that, and drinking and crap like that. But when he was still young and still got like that okay to go to like Hamburg and like perform, he would try to teach his audience English. Like he would try to teach them about grammar. It's like, can you imagine Paul on stage, John setting up his guitar, George is messing around with his guitar with not connected to the amp yet, making sure the string's all tuned, Ringo's picking steps a little bit, and then Paul takes a microphone and goes, the correct way to use the adjective the is to put it in front of the word. As preposition phrases do not end in a verb. You never have a verb in a preposition phrase. Can you see him doing that? Your tone needs to meet your purpose. Your diction must defeat your purpose, tone. thing. Like, you know, you're not, yeah, I could go on. But, you know, can you imagine Paul lecturing you about English? It's like, that would be weird. I would remember that for a lifetime. A lot of people know that John performed on stage with a toilet seat on his head while Paul was wearing a bed sheet, which I think would be pretty hot to see. And then another time, John was wearing a bathing suit and of course had to moon his audience, and I'm sure his audience loved that, especially the girls. Okay, so, oh, this one's a nice one. So one night, Paul was, you know how, like, Stu Sutcliffe was kind of like, he wasn't really wanting to be there. He wanted to be with Astrid more than anyone, and he wasn't that good. Well, that had ticked Paul off, and Paul always wanted to find a way to get angry at Stu. So one night, you know, Stu was up there, and, he wasn't playing that good, or something like that. And, what's this? So, yeah, oh, he wasn't playing that good. So Paul was, like, yelling at him. Poor Stu. Like, Paul was probably, like, he was like, Stu, give him a better job, blah, 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 blah. And then Paul mentioned something about Astrid, and Stu threw Paul up against the wall and slapped him in the face. So Paul was pissed, and then they got in a fight, and this is while the song is going on. The rest of the Beatles do nothing. They don't help him, they don't tell him to stop, they finish their number, and then they pull each other off. Like, can you see them, like, performing, like a random song, like, some other guy, you know, something like, guy now, and then all of a sudden you see Paul just, like, jumping on top of Stu Sutcliffe. I did not just lose my page of notes. You know, I just think that'd be funny. No one's laughing with me right now. So yeah, maybe that's just me. But, so yeah. Once the song is finished. Oh yeah, but before Stu left the band for good, Stu gave Paul his bass Hofner, and that was like a truce to him, and it was so cute. I think that's a nice little friendship thing. So they ended off on good hands, though. Okay, so another was, Paul was like one of those strict boyfriends. You can't wear that skirt. That's too short for you, girl. You got to put some longer pants on. Like, oh my gosh, don't smoke. You can't smoke. Hypocrite. He was smoking, you know. He was one of those strict boyfriends, especially with Dot, you know. Things like that. And, so, you know, Paul, you know, eventually, you know the story about him and Dot, and if you don't, just ask about it, and I'll tell it to you, or look it up, or whatever. And, Iris was Paul's other girlfriend, and what happened was, Paul was trying to do the same thing to Iris, and what he would do to Dot, and they were, like, at, this is a funny story, they were at, like, a restaurant or something, and Iris was like, you can't talk to me that way, takes a bowl of sugar, and dumps it onto Paul's head. And of course, Iris just, like, runs out of the door before Paul can say anything about it, because I can see Paul just totally going all types of George Harrison on that. I think of George Harrison as a little rebel, one of those guys who's just gonna punk on you. So yeah, he'd go all types of George Harrison. You know, the water and the restaurant, George, Patty. Okay, anyways, so Iris thought Paul and her were over, because, you know, if, like, you know, I did that to, like, some guy, you know, and I expected that we were dating. I wouldn't expect that we'd still be dating after I threw sugar on top of his head. So what happened was, she called up somebody, a guy, to go on, you know, she was like, hey, do you want to go on a date with me tonight? My plans are canceled. I don't have to go with this other guy anymore. And she wasn't being specific about who. So he's like, oh yeah, sure, you know, I'll go with you tonight. And then it turns out, like, you know, she's on the phone, and Paul comes to the door with, like, flowers and everything, and he's wearing really nice clothes, and he's like, are you ready to go, love? And she's just like, oh crap, we're still going out, this is great. She's like, hold on 1 second, dear, runs back to the phone in the kitchen, and she goes, sorry, George, my date's back on, see you later. Yes, that George was George Harrison. Dang, these guys are so picky. So yeah, she blew off Paul to call George Harrison to ask George if they wanted to go for a date, and then Paul was there and blew off George again. Poor George, he just gets the rough stick. Anyways, okay, so this is going to be the last one for today, because you're probably bored, and I'm not going to go through them all. I don't want to get too carried away. This one's kind of funny. You know how Paul was really protective about his mother? I can't blame him. But she died when he was 14. Sad story. Very sad indeed. What happened was, they were all one night, all of the Beatles, hanging out in one of their rooms. They had a Ouija board out, and they were trying to raise the spirits or something. And they were all like, you know, if you were in the Ouija board, you get, like, really into it. You'd be freaking out a little bit, like, it's dark, it's scary, whatever, things like that. What happened was, all of a sudden, they started hearing noises. And, you know, they kept on, like, hearing things, and, like, things like that. And all of a sudden, Paul was like, oh, my mom, she's coming back from the dead, she's coming.
Hey guys, okay, sorry about that. Sorry, okay, my, what do you call it nowadays? I sound like I'm whispering, don't worry about it. My memory card got full, so it kind of stopped mid-sentence again. But, what I was gonna say was, so, Paul started hearing noises. This is funny. Okay, so Paul started hearing noises. Oh no, my mother, she's coming back from the dead. Ah, this is so great. And then all of a sudden, Paul looks over and notices George is messing around with the Ouija board because he's laughing and he's like doing something on the board to make it look like something's coming alive. And Paul gets so pissed off and just tackles George, flips him over the table, and they get into this huge fight. And I just think that's great because, you know, you're in the dark playing with the Ouija board and all of a sudden Paul McCartney just flips George Harrison over. Ah. That must be funny. Okay, so what I was gonna say before it got deleted was I hope you guys have a great week. Have an amazing Easter. Happy Easter. And if you don't celebrate Easter, have a great Sunday and a great rest of the week. By the way, I'm not going to be here next Saturday because I'm going to Florida. Woo! So if any of the alternates want to help me out there, that'd be cool. And yeah, so I goes, ugh. I hope you guys have a great week, as I said, like 10 times already, which is good, you know. And take care. Okay, bye.